Welcome to Season. My name is Jason and this is my review of Luke Cage, Season 1, completely spoiler-free. Let's get started. Luke Cage is literally bulletproof, but despite the world having its superheroes, he has no interest in being one. That is until crime hits the streets of Harlem and, well, no one else is gonna hit back. One thing I'll say about the series is I love how Luke Cage's fighting style is like a bull in a china shop. He's like a tank. He's like a tank. Daredevil has flips and stuff, and he just kind of just walks through people like paper. And it's hilarious. But regardless, is it good? Yeah? Is it as good as Daredevil and Jessica Jones? Out of the 4 Marvel Netflix seasons we've got, Luke Cage is probably the weakest. With Harlem as its backdrop, it's Luke Cage versus street crime and gangsters. This show is heavily rooted in black culture and so tackles the very relevant subjects of racial tension, gun violence, corruption and police brutality. This is a show about a black man who is a fugitive from the cops, who is bulletproof. You don't get any more on the nose with that, so I don't think there could be any version of this show without these themes. While it tackles them well, it's something that's been done better by a billion other shows, and so it doesn't stand out like what Netflix has provided us with so far. It gets pretty cliche too, with its cheesy buddy cop dialogue, its emotional, preachy monologues, and towards the end gets even more cartoony than its Netflix counterparts. It hits the same beats as the other Netflix shows, with plenty of references, how it attempts to humanise its villain, how the show's pacing dips in the middle as it tries to pivot its plot in a different direction. Luke Cage has made me realise there's a bit of a shared structure between the Netflix shows that I hadn't really noticed before. I guess it's not just the cinematic universe they have in common. My biggest criticisms though are with its writing. There is way too much exposition, and yet there is a point towards the back end of the season where this new bad guy comes out of nowhere, which the show blindly expects us to know and care about why he's a threat. They tell us he's strong, but he comes across as weak as any of the MCU movie villains no one cares about. None of the bad guys really hold up to Fisk, Kilgrave or Punisher, but the main bad guy from the trailer, Cottonmouth, is pretty charismatic at least. You will hate this character, and Neo Adam Sandler just seems to loiter menacingly. I will say this, the music in this show is awesome. We've got old school hip hop, jazz, and a hallway fight to the beat of Wu-Tang Clan. Episode 3, fuck yes. I mean, I've really railed on this show in this review, but I still enjoyed it. I get the feeling its cheese comes from an honest place, like a teenager feeling emotions and then attempting to write poetry. Doesn't mean those emotions aren't there, they just need work on their delivery. And hell, that analogy is harsh as well, since this show looks great and is really carried by its magnificent actors. It's just the writing that needs work. If you like the other Netflix shows, it's worth having a look at, and if you're interested anyway, you can probably dip into this without watching the other shows, though I would recommend those other shows as well. So I'm trying this new thing this week by introducing second opinions, because while I obviously have the best opinion, it doesn't hurt to get a balanced viewpoint on the matter. What did you think of Luke Cage, Emily?
My name is EmmightySofia. I go by EmmightySofia in the YouTube universe, and it is a tremendous honor to have my thoughts featured on this little breakdown of the first season of Luke Cage. So, one of the biggest questions of the hour is how this first season of Luke Cage lines up with the first and second seasons of Daredevil and the first season of Jessica Jones, which, as of the date of this review, are the only series and seasons available in Marvel's Netflix offerings. I would personally hold the first season of Jessica Jones to be my favorite thus far, most particularly because of having a super strong and compelling central villain, which set the tone and the overall trajectory of the narrative in that show, and good lord, was that a phenomenal experience. I would say that Luke Cage itself is a phenomenal experience in many ways. I think that it knocks it out of the park when it comes to establishing mood and atmosphere, particularly as a hip-hop western, which the director of the series has described Luke Cage as. And I kind of love that. I think that they really did phenomenally in that regard, and that every mood and every tone was accentuated and complemented perfectly by an amazingly addictive soundtrack, which I have absolutely been devouring since the show first dropped. And the many characters that populate the first season of Luke Cage are very easy to get into as well. Although I would particularly take issue with one antagonist that emerges later into the season. I'm not really going to delve too far into spoilers, as I am sure that Jason is going to cover what territory he wants to cover. But the biggest pitfalls in the first season of Luke Cage, I believe, are some storytelling issues and pacing, and I think trying to balance the different parts of its identity as a very multifaceted show. Nonetheless, I think it could have benefited from a bit of focus, a bit of polish, and getting to see Luke Cage struggle with his identity as a hero, as a member of his community, as all of these things that he is. This bulletproof black man in the heart of Harlem is a fantastic journey. I think it could definitely integrate more of the stylish action from Daredevil and the narrative cohesion, or at least as I perceive it, from the first season of Jessica Jones. Looking forward to more from this show, and more thoughts, of course, from Jason.
Thank you for coming on. You can all check out EmmightySofia on her channel. She does some fantastic reviews and recaps on the latest TV. She's covering Westworld and The Walking Dead at the moment, which is more than I've been able to. So go subscribe to her as well. As for my verdict, it gets a good rating. There you go. But for now, that is it. Thank you very so much for watching. If you like this video, then please subscribe to this channel to keep up to date with my future reviews. If you want to support me, also there's a Patreon page you can donate to. That would help me out a lot. But for now, I will see you later.